She smiled, said all the right words, but every movement betrayed an emptiness she could no longer hide. One innocent toast, and the crack became impossible to conceal. When foreign names echo behind clinking glasses and eyes forget how to look without deception, it becomes clear. The real blows aren't dealt with fists, but with silence. Sometimes betrayal doesn't arrive in a rush of passion, but in a whisper, a stray message, a glance held too long on a screen. And then only one thing remains, not a scene, not a scream, not pleas for forgiveness, but the quiet preparation for the final step. Because true freedom doesn't begin with forgiveness. It begins the moment you realize there's no one left to wait for. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. It really helps my channel a lot. Please tell me in which city or country you watched this video. I value every one of your comments. So, let's get started. If someone had told me a year ago that I'd be spending our 10th anniversary plotting an exit instead of envisioning our future, I'd have laughed it off. Back then, I still clung to the idea that commitment could hold a fractured thing together, that if you poured enough effort into love, it would stay intact. I hadn't planned anything lavish, just something with meaning. Leah had always talked about her fondness for places that felt like time forgot them, so I booked a table at Holloway House, a restored Victorian manor tucked away on the edge of town. It would be quiet, intimate, just the two of us, surrounded by flickering candles and a menu designed to echo our very first dinner together. I kept the surprise to myself. All I told her was, "Be ready by 7, dress up." She gave me that inquisitive glance. She used to get excited about surprises. Once she did. When she appeared that evening, she looked like something out of a magazine. Sleek black dress, deep red lipstick, effortless elegance. In that instant, I remembered why I kept fighting, even through the ache. The car ride was mostly silent, not in a tense way, just calm. I thought about saying something heartfelt, but decided to let the evening unfold on its own. When we arrived and she stepped into the venue, she smiled with real surprise. "This place is stunning," she said. "I was hoping you'd think so," I answered. Our table was waiting, music drifting softly from a nearby trio. She let out a gentle laugh. "You really went all in." "Well," I said, 10 years deserves more than takeout and Netflix." Midway through dinner, I slid a small gift across the table, a handcrafted music box that played Yellow, the song that had once been ours. She opened it, her face still, then offered a smile. But behind her eyes, something didn't quite reach the surface. The night continued, but the comfort faded. Leah remained polite, even laughed when the musicians played Can't Help Falling in Love. She sipped her wine slowly, gracefully. From the outside, the night looked perfect, but people aren't made of appearances. When dessert arrived, she excused herself. I watched her go, noticing how her phone was already in her hand, unlocked before she disappeared around the corner. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, didn't want to be that kind of husband. But a memory tugged at me. Earlier in the car, a message briefly popped up on her screen. "Missed you today," from someone saved as L. I tried to stay level-headed. Maybe it was a friend. Lisa, Lacey, even Logan. That one stung. Logan, the charming co-worker with the too easy smile. Leah always said he was harmless. But once, I caught him looking at her in a way no married man should. I let it go. When she returned a few minutes later, I asked, "Everything okay?" "Yeah," she said, brushing it off. "Just needed a break. The wine hit me harder than I expected." She smiled, but it didn't quite hold. The music stopped briefly. Applause echoed from another room. It felt like it ought to mean something. It didn't. Then Leah leaned across the table. "Do you ever wonder how things might have been if we hadn't married so young?" she asked. I looked at her. That smile again, pretty, distant. "I don't regret it," she added quickly. "Just, sometimes I think about it." That's normal, right? I nodded slowly. Depends what you're thinking about. She gave a small laugh, emptied her glass, and looked away. That's when I knew. This night wasn't meant to mend us. It was a goodbye in disguise. After dinner, we headed to the parlor. That moment, at least, still felt like it belonged to us, but only briefly. Then a few familiar faces appeared, guests I'd secretly invited to raise a toast. Miles and Jenna from our college days, Diane from Leah's office, my cousin Alex and his wife Nina. These were the people she once called our chosen family. I thought it might bring her joy. She seemed surprised at first, but quickly fell into grace, smiles, hugs, a glass in hand. This is incredible, Jenna gushed. If Greg did this for me, I'd marry him all over again. Leah laughed softly. Careful what you wish for. Marriage isn't always quartets and candlelight. The room chuckled. I offered a smile. Then Miles stood with a drink and tapped his glass. 10 years! Come on, Leah, give us a toast. You always say the perfect thing. Glasses raised around her. She stood, glass in hand. 10 years, she began. Though honestly, it feels more like 20. A ripple of laughter. When I married Jonas, I thought I was making the smart choice. He was stable, kind, loyal. I smiled gently, unsure where this was going. But, she continued, sometimes, even when you choose right, you still wonder about the road you didn't take. The room quieted. Maybe, she added with a wistful tilt of her head, if Jasper hadn't moved to Canada, he'd be the one I'm raising a glass to tonight. Her words struck like a punch. Jasper, her wild, unpredictable ex. The almost. I hadn't heard his name in years. But, she went on, raising her glass higher, here's to 10 years with a truly good man. A man who never made me feel unsafe, who kept everything steady. Which, she finished with a shrug, depending on your view, is either the highest compliment or a quiet caution. The silence that followed was heavy. A few hesitant claps. Someone muttered, Jesus. I didn't react. Just smiled. That empty, mechanical smile you wear when your heart's been sliced open and no one notices the bleeding. I sipped my water and waited for the topic to change. We didn't speak once during the drive. She leaned her head against the window, her eyes distant, as if the night behind us hadn't happened at all. I kept my hand steady on the wheel, her words playing on a loop in my head. When we walked through the door, she headed straight for the kitchen and poured herself another glass of wine. Want one? She asked, like it was any other night. I gave a slight shake of my head. No, I'm good. I followed her into the living room. She collapsed onto the couch with the ease of someone untouched by conflict. Do you want to talk about it? I asked, my voice soft. She looked up at me, pretending not to understand. Talk about what? That toast you made, I said. The part where I wasn't the love of your life, just the one who kept you afloat, or when you joked it might have been meant for your ex. She let out a theatrical sigh and rolled her eyes. Oh, Jonas. It was a joke. You always read too much into everything. No, I replied, calm but firm. You say things that carry weight. I just started noticing. She shifted, curling her legs underneath her like the conversation didn't matter. You're making this into more than it is. Am I? I hesitated. Who's Ella? A flicker crossed her face. Almost nothing. Sorry, what? Ella, I repeated. You got a text tonight. Missed you today. Who is that? She looked away, casual. It's Logan. Don't start. We've only been talking here and there. Talking, huh? That's it, she said, a little too fast. You've always had a weird issue with him. I didn't respond right away. I just looked at her. I found a restaurant receipt yesterday, I said. It was on your desk. Her jaw stiffened. So now you're snooping through my stuff? No, you left it in plain sight. I stepped a little closer. And it's not just the lie that hurts. It's standing there at dinner while you turned me into a joke in front of everyone." She stood up sharply. "You're blowing everything out of proportion." I stayed where I was. Was it him? "Were you with Logan?" Her mouth opened, but she didn't speak. That silence told me everything. The next morning, she left early for a work yoga retreat. No drawn-out goodbye, just a curt nod and a flat, "See you Sunday." I stood by the window and watched her drive off. There's a moment when something inside you just shifts. No loud break, no shouting, just a still, final click. I wasn't looking to get even. I just needed the whole truth. While she was gone, I stepped into her home office. Her tablet was sitting on the desk, charging like always. No password. She never thought I'd look. She thought I was still the safe bet, the man who never pried. I tapped the screen. Messages opened immediately. Logan Brooks. There weren't any explicit photos, but the messages, those told the story. Easy, warm, flirtatious. You understand me like he never could. Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about it. Remember that upstairs room? Still smells like cedar and lemon. I didn't need a map. It was clear. A hotel. 2 weeks before our anniversary. She had gone there with him. It wasn't random. It wasn't meaningless. I kept scrolling until I found the worst of it. A photo of them at dinner, sitting close, heads nearly touching, a world of their own. But what gutted me? A selfie from our wedding night, sent to him, captioned, "Crazy that I ever thought this would be enough." I didn't lash out. I didn't cry. I calmly forwarded every message, every image, to a private email I had set up. Once everything was backed up, I deleted the thread from her tablet. She'd never know I saw it. Then I powered it down and sat in her chair, the truth fully in view. I wasn't in a marriage. I was standing in the final frame of a story she had already closed. I wasn't a partner. I was a placeholder. And in that moment, I stopped feeling like the betrayed one. When she got back, I didn't mention a word of it. That night, I made her favorite pasta, poured her a glass of red, asked how the retreat had gone. She smiled, said it had been good for her. I nodded. Glad to hear it. No mention of Logan. No confrontation. Because I wasn't preparing for a fight, I was preparing my exit. The next day, I called Kevin, my old college roommate, now a divorce lawyer. Quiet, sharp, trusted. He picked up on the tone immediately. "I'm not trying to rush," I told him. "I just want to get a sense of what I'm looking at." He didn't push. He said we'd take it step by step. No drama. Stay composed. Stay in control. That night, while she slept upstairs, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and started compiling everything. Screenshots, texts, the receipt, a full timeline. Not to be petty, but to protect myself. Next, I reached out to Miles. He owed me a favor. "You around Sunday?" I asked. "Yeah, why?" "I need a space. Small group. Just want to say a few words." A beat passed. "This about Leah?" "It will be." He didn't push. "All right. You've got it." By Friday, everything was organized. Files saved, email backup done, a flash drive with the evidence, signed separation papers in a folder, clean, clear. She didn't suspect a thing. Thought we were fine again. Thought I'd buried it, like always. But I hadn't. I was fully awake. Sunday arrived. Miles's place was buzzing with the usual weekend crowd. Leah walked in beside me, gave Miles a kiss on the cheek, joked with Diane, hugged Jenna, like nothing had ever cracked between us. She never saw it coming. Half an hour in, I asked if I could say a few words. Miles dimmed the lights. The small TV screen flickered on. I had handed him the flash drive earlier. He didn't ask why, just plugged it in. I stepped forward. "I know this isn't an anniversary celebration or anything," I began, "but since most of you were at that dinner a few weeks ago, I figured I'd share a little follow-up. Some thoughts." The screen lit up. First slide, our wedding photo. We were smiling, bright, hopeful. The room softened. Even Leah smiled. Second slide, a recent photo from that dinner. Same people, same table. Warm light between us. Then came the messages. Logan's name, her words underneath. You understand me in a way he doesn't. The smell hadn't faded. Cedarwood still clung to the air, undercut by a citrus sting. Strange how I once believed that scent alone could carry a relationship. And then there was that picture. Leah and Logan, all grins and wine glasses at some polished, too-perfect restaurant. She stared at it like the screen had turned traitor. Not a blink, not a twitch, just frozen, as if her body had short-circuited. I approached with measured steps, pulling a thick envelope from my coat's inner pocket. These are the separation documents, I said, even and composed. No rush. Sign them when you're done pretending. Without another word, I turned, opened the door, and left. That night, I didn't go back. I'd already dropped a packed duffel at Daniel's apartment earlier that day, just in case. He offered up the guest room with nothing but a nod. 3 days slipped by in silence. No calls, no texts. Then, on the 4th, the messages came. You ambushed me. We should have handled this differently. You made me look like the bad guy. But not once did she say, I'm sorry. That word never came. Next came the rationalizations, emotional gymnastics. Logan didn't mean anything. It wasn't a real thing. We can still fix this, can't we? But no, we couldn't. Because it was real. And it broke something vital. I said nothing back. There was nothing left inside me worth giving. A week in, Diane casually mentioned that Logan had ghosted her. No replies, no explanation, just vanished. Like he only wanted what he couldn't have, and bailed the second it was his. One last message arrived from Leah. I don't know what to do. I didn't respond. I erased it without reading it twice. 2 weeks passed. Then the envelope returned, delivered to my office like a monthly bill. No sticky note, no handwritten plea, just her name on the dotted line. I didn't celebrate, didn't even smirk, just let out a long breath I didn't know I'd been holding. People talk about revenge as if it's some grand, fiery act. That's not how I see it. To me, revenge is silence. It's the stillness left when the storm ends. I didn't ruin her. I just made sure she couldn't keep ruining me. 3 months later, I was at a quiet cafe overlooking the lake. Sitting across from me was Sarah. We'd met briefly at a fundraiser once. This time, we actually talked. About books, about work, about how absurd small talk can feel. She laughed at one of my jokes, genuinely, warmly, not looking over her shoulder, not weighed down by hidden meanings, just present. And for the first time in ages, I laughed too. Not because I'd won, but because I was finally unburdened. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.